What can be really helpful is to save either plans that you create, or in particular, when you have AI planning done and you get some great plan out of Code Interpreter, it can be really, really helpful to save that as a separate file so that you can reuse it down the road. Now I'm going to show you an example of this, but the key thing is you want to be saving these plans, these intermediate products, because they're useful for picking up where you left off or starting a new conversation with that same process in mind. So you could go and try to recreate that plan from scratch, but it's probably going to be kind of hard to do. But let's imagine you got some great plan out of the tool, or you took the time to write a great plan. You want to have it and you want to be able to reuse it. Now, as a warning, of course, you're never going to get exactly the same output probably. You may have variations in output, but a lot of time you can get more consistency if you start with the same plan, or you pick up some from some point you left off, some intermediate products plus a plan at some point in time, and you use those. So how would you take a plan that you've saved and use it to kickstart a new process? Well, let's go back to this example that I gave with turning my videos into blog posts. So I got a plan that was pretty good as a starting point. It wasn't perfect, and I'm going to pick up on that plan and I'm going to refine it and work with it. So the first thing I do is I pick up with restating the goals, because this is really important. And I restate the goals that were explained in the original conversation before I created the plan. So I explained it's a transcript from a video I recorded, that I'm trying to get a plan for creating a blog post, and then I want to make sure we turn the conversational discussion into paragraphs with topic discussions, and I want the blog post to be 10 to 15 paragraphs. Now we need this information. Now we might not always need it. Sometimes it may be showing up in the plan somewhere, but in this case I felt like it was important to include it. And then here's what I do. I say, this is the plan that you previously created. So I'm basically providing its prior plan back to it. And I take the blog post plan and I just copy and paste it in to start the chat. So this is all part of the very first prompt. And I'm basically seeding this conversation with a prompt that will hopefully help it remember the plan that it had before and use it as the starting point. And so it goes through and basically reiterates what's in the plan, which is helpful. But then I explain to it how I want to tweak the plan. And this can be great if you've used it before and then you realize, you know what, there's something I wish I could do differently. Well, you just take the plan, put it back into a prompt, and then start working with Code Interpreter to have it modify the plan. So I tell it, last time this plan didn't completely work because I want the blog post to be instructional. I really want the post to emphasize concrete skills with accompanying examples. How could you improve or fix this plan based on that? And so I'm going back to it and asking it to think about how to iterate or improve on its own output. And so it goes and updates the plan, review the transcript, identify key skills and examples, define the structure, draft topic sentences, expand topic sentences. And this is fairly close to what was done before, but notice that there's some additional things here. Instead of step 3 being draft topic sentences, which came right after define the structure. So it basically was reviewing, defining the structure, and drafting topic sentences before. Now what it's going to do is review the transcript, identify key skills and examples, then define the structure, and then draft topic sentences. So it's basically gone and it's rewritten its plan to incorporate this issue that I brought up. I've asked it, and now notice I didn't tell it how to fix the plan. I told it what the problem was with the plan, why it didn't work. I'm getting feedback to do its own planning. Now I could have manually told it, remove that step, add this step. Of course I could have done that, but in this case I wanted it to think through how to do this. Now, I then say, read the entire transcript I uploaded 2,000 characters at a time, summarize it, and then update the plan based on what is in the transcript. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plan and now I'm going to use my content to refine the plan and make it more targeted towards what I'm about to actually operate on. So it goes through, reads the transcript, and basically produces the new modified understanding, basically the summary of what's in the transcript. And it does a good job of that. And then I tell it, create a concrete, actionable plan around this outline for turning it into a blog post. Each step should revolve around writing one of these sections. And so it then goes through and rewrites the plans and it's very specific to the content now, describing exactly what the content's going to be. And then basically I take it and I realize it's pretty concrete, but it's not quite concrete enough. It's, from my perspective, it's still a little bit too high level. And so I tell it to write a separate plan, write a separate step-by-step sub-plan that explains how you're going to write each of these sections and save them to a separate file. Provide the key topics that will be covered in each section, and you will make sure the section aligns with what came before. Discuss the examples that will be used in the section. Include in your plan rereading the original transcript in 2,000 character chunks to find relevant information to include. Show the subplan for each section. So there's a bunch of things that I'm doing here that I want to break down. I've pulled in the original plan. I've asked it to modify it. I've now taken it and refined the plan using the actual content that I'm going to work on. And now I'm having it build out the step-by-step subplan where it's going to go through, and for each basically one of these paragraphs, it's going to create a plan for writing that paragraph, saving it to a file. It's going to look at what topics were in the prior paragraph. It's also going to look at the information that is in the sort of corresponding part of the transcript. And then it's going to provide and discuss the examples. So I'm basically trying to give it a lot of different individual steps of things to bring in. Now at this point, I'm really manually refining this plan and telling it exactly what I want injected into it. And then we get this much more refined, concrete plan. It's going to reread the first 2,000 characters of the transcript. It's going to draft a catchy opening sentence. It's going to write 2-3 sentences providing an overview of the topic. It's going to conclude with a sentence that clearly states. It's going to save this in a separate introduction. And so it's basically going through and describing step by step what it's going to do. Now, it could be that we've lost some information, but I think what we've got is a pretty good thing. If we look at step 5, for example, detail code interpreter's capabilities, and we go down here, we're going to reread the transcript, discuss the Python libraries and what they enable to perform, and we're going to save this as capabilities. And this is a fairly good description of what's there, but also we're fusing it with the new information that we're going to be reading in from the transcript. So this is an example. The key point here is that if you have a plan and you've saved it, you can kickstart a new conversation by basically going and providing your original goals, providing the plan that either you created or AI created, and then you can go and sort of use that as a starting point. And you can either try to execute it as is and see if you can get a similar result to before, or you can go and use it as something that you can refine, as we did in this case, and try to have it fix problems or issues that you had in a prior iteration of it and see if you can improve. So if you can get to a point that you think is good, you can save that. And then if things go awry beneath it, you can try to go back, start from there again, and then improve the outcome.